schedule so we know what's going on. It's Adriatic Metals, and Paul Cronin is the managing director. He will be joining us. Oh, there he is, just popped up on the screen. And I really appreciate you joining us. And where are you joining us from today?
Kai, I am in our office in Varesh in Bosnia.
Oh, fantastic. Perfect. Live from site. Appreciate that. And
you can see from behind me, we spend a lot on furnishings.
Yeah, especially expensive paintings. So yeah, please go ahead, start sharing your screen.
Great. Thank you very much for inviting me here today to talk about Adriatic. SF has been a great forum for us, and we really enjoy talking to your subscribers and your listeners. Adriatic is obviously a Balkan exploration and development company. We have a very high value, high margin asset in Bosnia called the Varesh Project. It has excellent grades, excellent thickness. We've conducted a scoping study on that. We are in the process of putting out a pre-feasibility study, which I'll talk a little bit about because that is quite imminent. But we've also built a very good team here in Bosnia who we are looking to leverage to expand our footprint across the Balkans. And the reason why we focus on the Balkans is primarily in the Yugoslav era, there was very, very extensive exploration conducted. However, that exploration was typically done in a very limited fashion where drilling was relatively shallow. But there are vast amounts of information available in the former Yugoslav capitals that give you an idea of where there may be potential deposits that would be economic. As part of that strategy, last week we closed on the acquisition of Canadian-listed Tethyan Resource Corp. This was a Richard Walk-backed company. Richard and I had discussed a potential tie-up of these two companies for some time. And we made the decision back in May to acquire that through a plan of arrangement, and that is now completed. And so Tethyan is now part of that Adriatic group. I have some of my geologists in Bosnia working over there right now as we are embarking on an expansion program, and there'll be plenty of news coming out on that over the next few weeks. But the Balkans is a fantastic jurisdiction. It has great infrastructure. Fiscally, both in Bosnia and Serbia, it's very favorable to foreign investment. But it sits on the edge of the Tethyan mineral belt, and that is why there is so much exploration and development and operations occurring in these countries. Serbia probably a little bit more advanced in terms of the evolution of its mining code, which has attracted more foreign investment. We've seen Zinjan Mining, Rio Tinto, Medgold, Mondero, and others all operating there. Bosnia is dominated by ourselves and Mineko, a private British company that has a number of operations throughout the Balkans. It is also blessed with fantastic infrastructure. From the Varesh project in Bosnia, we have a direct railway line to the port in Ploče, in Croatia. From our Kizovac project or Raska project in Serbia, we have a direct railway line through to Bar in Montenegro. These are both deep water ports that are capable of handling either bulk material or containers or indeed rotators. But let's just focus on the Varesh project initially. That is our flagship project at the moment. We did do a scoping study about this time last year. It showed some very captivating economics of an NPV 8 of $917 million with an internal rate of return of 107% on relatively modest capex. What we've done since then is continue to drill out that deposit. We've looked for extensions of Rapitsa. We've now put out a new updated resource on the project about a month ago. And we've also, and most importantly, we've significantly expanded our land package in and around this Triassic mineral belt near the town of Varesh, where there has been extensive historical exploration and where we know that these high-grade deposits sit along the contact zone between the Triassic and the Jurassic sediments. So we announced that a few weeks ago that we've locked in that extension. It has been a lengthy process of negotiation with government to secure that. But the government here trusts the work that we're doing, and they believe in what we're doing. Just this week, we had a visit to site from the Bosnian Prime Minister and the Minister of Mines, and they have voiced their support for the project in trying to move things forward, because they're very pleased with the amount of investment that we've made in the country today. But back onto that scoping study, which honestly by very, very soon will be completely obsolete, because there will be a pre-feasibility study done. It shows very, very compelling economics. You know, payback is very rapid, capital expenditure relatively low, but you can see from the post-tax free cash flows on the left-hand side of that slide that it generates a significant amount of margin in its first 5 or 6 years of operation. And that margin is actually helping to guide the entire strategy for the company. That margin will be used to build the Kizilbac project in Serbia, and likely allow us to leverage into further acquisitions of both exploration, development, and operating projects in the region. Where we have been also focusing, apart from expanding the resources, we've done a lot of work this year on metallurgical refinement. This is a polymetallic project. It's very silver dominant, but it is a polymetallic project, and we have to create, in the scoping study, we created 3 concentrates. In the pre-feasibility, we'll be creating 4. And we've done a lot of work trying to improve the payabilities and the recoveries of our metals to make sure that we can create very saleable concentrates that are marketable across different parts of the world, right through the mine life. So we spent a lot of time on that. We've done a lot of localization of costs. We operate in a jurisdiction with low labor costs. Bosnia also has the cheapest electricity prices in Europe, because it's predominantly hydro electricity generated. And obviously, as we've increased the resource, we'll be increasing the mine life. And I think that will all be reflected in the upcoming pre-feasibility study, which I said is quite imminent. However, we haven't finished exploration here yet. We have just increased our resources by 32%, but mineralization remains open to the north and to the south. We are still drilling on the deposit, but what we're specifically looking for is the right geochemical and structural conditions which have given rise to this deposit in the first place. The Ripperts deposit doesn't really fit into any unique category. It's a sedimentary deposit with secondary carbonate replacement, which has given rise to all of what you'd expect in a SEDEX deposit, except that it's also got high-grade gold and copper. So the extension of that concession area now gives us 10 years to go and look for repeats of this mineralization. We will be flying some airborne surveys over that entire area next week. We've also done very extensive soil geochemistry and creek sediments across that new area. And over the course of 2021, we will also be massively expanding our exploration effort in that new area, as well as on our existing deposits on our current licenses. Some of the more recent drill hits show that there is a continuation of mineralization, particularly to the south, where we've been hitting quite thick and very high-grade mineralization. But we will continue to drill down to the south, we'll continue to drill to the north, and we'll continue to look for repeats of that deposit that can be built into future mine planning. As I mentioned to you earlier, we have got this new concession. We believe that there is significant regional potential. We have picked up some very high-grade samples. Particularly, we're encouraged by a 24% copper sample that we picked up on a known area of historical exploration. We have some data there. So these are the focus areas for 2021. But the other main area of focus for us right now is we are drilling at Kizilbac and Substaci. When we acquired Tethyan Resource Corp, it had an historical resource on it. We like historical resources. Rupice had historical data. We've gone in, we've taken it from an historical resource of 1 million tonnes through to 12.5 million tonnes. We're confident we can do the same across the border in Serbia. We are drilling it at the moment. We like what we're seeing a lot, and there will be assay results coming out on that project. So we at the moment have 1 rig drilling at Kizilbac, 1 rig drilling at Staci, and a 3rd rig is being mobilised to arrive on site this weekend. We didn't intend initially on having 3 rigs on site, but the visual results to date have justified that expansion of the rig count, and indeed we are now looking for a 4th rig. The intention here is to get a JORC resource on this project early in the new year and truly demonstrate what the potential of this project is. Now, the difference between Kizilbac and Rupice is that Kizilbac is very, very shallow. Most of the mineralization is from or near surface. The metallurgy there is very, very clean. It's a coarse grind. It produces very clean concentrates with no deleterious elements. And these concentrates will be able to go into almost any smelter in the world. So it opens up a lot of optionality. It also opens up some optionality in terms of how we might commingle those concentrates with what we had in Rupice as well. But what Tethyan have put together, I can't overemphasize this. It is very difficult to put together a land package like this in Serbia. It's enormous, and there's huge potential there, and we'll be doing a lot more exploration there over the coming years. But in terms of where we're going, obviously pre-feas will be out very, very shortly. We'll be starting our definitive feasibility study, which we expect to finish in either March or April next year. We are making tremendous progress with our permits at the moment, and we expect to be able to start construction of the Varesh project, including Rupice and Varesh, in July next year. So all of the work that I'm doing now is around getting ready to project finance that project. Permitting is a long process anywhere. In Bosnia, it's no different. Bosnia can be a bit bureaucratic, but we are making good progress there. And I think more importantly, we're making great progress on our ESG. We've got a really good organizational culture here, and that is being evident in our local community, and hence the level of support that we have both from our community and from government. In terms of board, we put together a world-class board of people who have technical skills, corporate skills, and corporate and social responsibility. We believe that that board is the right board to take this company through to be a mid-tier producer. And we're very happy with the composition of that board as it currently stands. As we are happy with the performance of our equity since we listed in Australia on the ASX in May 2018, our share price has risen from 20 cents to around $2.40 where it is today. We kept our capital structure reasonably tight, and we look to continue to see that share price appreciate as we deliver on those major milestones. Thanks, Kai. I think I've maybe just run out of time.